When I started tutoring online, people told me I was crazy. In fact, I had people who said things like, there's no way that online tutoring can be as personable as one-on-one tutoring with the child right next to you. I had people who said, there's no way that online tutoring could be as effective as in-person tutoring. And I said, what if? What if online tutoring could be even more effective than in-person tutoring? I said, what if we could free up more time for the child to be a kid and save time traveling from place to place to be able to get to their tutoring sessions? What if has this amazing ability to help us to think small or to help us to think big? And I've used this what if strategy to think big. My name's Joanne Kaminsky, and I'm the Skyping reading tutor. I've been teaching kids how to read online for the last 5 years, since 2010. And it has been an amazing experience. In fact, let me share a little bit about what my experience was. I started off teaching in the school system. I was at the Milwaukee Academy of Science downtown in Milwaukee. And I actually moved up the ladder pretty quickly there. In my second year, ended up training the teachers in our reading program across the country with Edison Schools. It was the SFA reading program. In my third year, they had me train the trainers who taught the teachers the SFA reading program. And my school began to realize that I had this huge passion for reading, and they asked me if I'd like to become the reading curriculum coordinator. And I said yes. And for the next 5 years, that's what I focused on. I focused on teaching teachers how to teach reading. The only problem is, as time went on, my frustration personally grew because we had a 50% turnover in teachers every single year. This meant that brand new teachers were the ones who were filling those classrooms. And when you've got brand new teachers that are coming into the school all the time, they don't necessarily know how to teach reading, and they're struggling still with classroom management. And that's pretty much any classroom teacher who starts a classroom in the inner city. And so it was really frustrating because I really wanted to make an impact on our students' scores, but I knew that with our situation, there were things that were hindering us from being able to do that. So I thought I would jump over the pond and I would go to a different school. And this time, instead of only 30% of our kids reading on grade level, 90% of the kids were reading on grade level. The sad thing was administration didn't change. Things were still, they were actually worse with administration. And so I ended up that year getting very ill. A huge pain began to occur on my side. I had an attack in the middle of the night, and ever since that one night, this pain grew in the side of my stomach. And they never could figure out what it was. I was in and out of the hospital. I was on bed rest. I tried everything to figure out what this pain was. And finally, one of my doctors gave me a medicine that at least calmed down the symptoms so that I didn't feel them anymore and I could still function. But I had this fear. I had a fear of going back into the school system because I didn't know if this pain was going to lead me into bed rest again. So I began playing with some other businesses. I tried 5 and I failed at every single one of them. I was not very good. And at that point, I started thinking, well, what is it that I want to do? And I wanted to tap back into my true passion, which was teaching kids to read. And so I decided to begin teaching kids to read online. And that's what I do today. And today I have not only a book solid business for myself, but I also help other teachers how to book their business solid as well. So it's been an amazing journey. And what I want to do right now is share my screen with you guys so that you can see what I have prepared for you and share some of the stories of my experience with tutoring online, and also give you some tips and tricks for how to teach reading online, how to make it fun, and the best part, how you can get paid what you're worth and how much you specifically could get paid. So I'm going to share my screen right now. And okay, so I'm gonna see where I can go here. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And we're gonna come back over, stop. I'm gonna do share my screen instead because that seems to work a little bit better. So I'm gonna do that so that you guys can all see what I prepared for you. All right, I'm gonna come right on over here and we'll click on the play button. And we will make it super nice and big for you guys. As soon as that comes on up, it says prepare to be amazed. I did use amaze for this. So if you haven't used this resource, it is really fun to play with it. So you might want to check it out if you get a chance and play with it. So instead of using a PowerPoint, you can use amaze, and it just has like a fancier little layout than your regular old PowerPoint does, which I really, really like. So this is amaze, and I love how it says prepare to be amazed. And here, I see it coming. I see it coming. Here it is. Awesome. I'm going to make the screen bigger. Okay, apparently every time I hit that button, it doesn't like that. So let's see if I come over here. Don't you love technology, you guys? Technology doesn't always work the way we want it to. So this is good. I'm going to be sharing the same exact presentation when I go to West Virginia over the weekend. And I'm going to make sure to download my PowerPoint here so that we don't run into these problems. I'm going to share with you some of the stories of the students that I have had the opportunity to work with. So one of the students that I've gotten to work with is a girl named Brooklyn. And Brooklyn is actually from Australia. And the cool thing about Brooklyn is that her mom came to the United States when she was in high school. And she fell in love with the United States so much that she decided to name all of her children after a place in the United States. And so she named Brooklyn after if you guess Brooklyn Bridge, you are correct. And so one day, her mom, Andrea, ended up getting a phone call from the school saying that they needed to schedule a time for a conference. So Andrea's mom came on in, and the teacher actually said to Brooklyn that she was reading at the bottom 5% of her grade level. And this destroyed Andrea so much. She, was one of those moms that had read to her kids every single day. And so to hear that her child wasn't reading on the grade level, she just couldn't imagine why this happened. So she became frustrated and started looking online for a solution. And that's how she found me, through some of my videos that I had created. So she asked me, if there was anything that I could do for her child. I gave her a free assessment, and I said, the things that she's struggling with are in the area of phonics. So we need to be able to get her to understand what is happening in the words, and we need to help her to be able to read a little bit quicker. So we were able to take care of that in the very first year of working together. And so she was reading on grade level. But this little girl wasn't out of the gate yet, because she then was diagnosed with Erlin's disease, and that is actually deals with the vision. So they are not able to see certain colors very well. So we learned that the color that Brooklyn was able to see best was blue. So I was able to actually tint everything in blue on my side, and she was able to read a lot easier. So Andrea was so excited about the work that I had done with Brooklyn that she had me work with 3 of her other children as well, which was a lot of fun. Another student that I got the opportunity to work with is named Allie. He's from London. And Allie's dad, Azad, had found me because I was already working with his niece, Amina. And Amina's dad was so pleased with the work that I was doing with her that he told Allie's dad and said, hey, I really think that Joanne could help you out. And so I began working with Allie, and he is a very typical ESL student because he lived in Pakistan, and because of that, his mom speaks Urdu most of the time, and so he's hearing Urdu, he's hearing English, he is coming from another country, and so his English level is actually what kind of impeded his comprehension level. So it was really cool to be able to work with him. And I used a couple of really fun tools like vocabulary to beef up his vocabulary. We talk about the meanings of words inside of books. And today, Allie is reading on grade level and understanding everything that he is reading, which is pretty cool. Another one of my students, actually, this is Tiana. Tiana struggled with dyslexia, and she's a model, as you can see. And her mom in second grade had realized there's a problem, and she pulled her out of the school system, and she began homeschooling her. And she would talk to other people, and she would tell them her frustrations with Tiana and say, gosh, she just isn't reading yet, and I'm not really sure. And people would actually tell her, well, she'll get it. Don't worry. Don't push her. If you push her, she's going to resist you, and then she's not going to learn. But by the time she was in 8th grade, she realized that she needed some other help because what she was trying wasn't working, and she wanted to make sure that she gave the best for her child. So she hired me. And when I first started working with Tiana, she couldn't put 3 sounds together effectively because that portion of her brain, the auditory part of her brain, it needed to be strengthened. As soon as we strengthened that part of her brain, she was able to put 3, 4, and 5 sounds together. And today, Tiana can actually put 3 syllables together to read words and 4 syllables together to read words, which is pretty incredible. In fact, today she's even helping her little nephew Wyatt be able to read as well. And so she's helping him learn the alphabet. Check this out. All right, I think I could seriously watch that clip like over and over again because he is so adorable. Did you catch that every time he said you, he said me instead? I absolutely love it. All right, here's another girl. Her name is Rachel, and she's from Alaska, and she's just a ball of sweetness, isn't she? Just take a look at her. So sweet. Well, the reason that Rachel came to me was because my very first business coach was her mom, which is Michelle Schaefer. And Michelle was going through a really tough time at this point in time because she was going through a divorce. She was homeschooling her 3 kids and running her business. And so that like really just, she had a lot going on. And the husband, the ex-husband, would come to the house after the weekend and he would look at Michelle and say, hey, why isn't she able to read these kinds of words? And it almost like put her in a shaming kind of position, which, I think is a horrible place for anybody who is trying to do what's best for their children to be in. But Michelle knew that I had this business because she had worked with me, and she asked me to help her daughter in reading. And she was reading at that point at a 1st grade reading level in 4th grade. And so we were able to work on the phonics that she needed and the fluency that she needed to get her up to grade level. And what I love about Rachel is that she just has this strong passion to want to read well and to read. And she was so much fun to work with because she just had the sweetest personality of anybody that you can imagine. The next students that I got to, that I'm going to share with you, their story, are actually 2 girls here that came to my customer appreciation party I had this summer. And every year I hold a customer appreciation party for anyone who lives close to me to come and just hang and play and swim in the pool and have some fun. And these 2 girls, we've got Jasmine and we have Ruby. Jasmine is actually a friend of mine's granddaughter. And so she had let her daughter know about me and what my business was, and her daughter decided to give it a try. So when I talked with her daughter, she had said, you know, I don't see what the problem is. It sounds like she's a pretty good reader, but at school they are telling me that her fluency is too slow. So I tested her, and yeah, her fluency was pretty slow. But here's what was impeding Jasmine. See, Jasmine was able to read, but then she would get to that one word that she couldn't sound out, and she would spend way too many seconds on that one word, and it would take up a lot of her time. So what she needed were a few more skills to A, be able to figure out the word, keep on going so she could figure out the word. She needed some strategies that she could use other than just sit there staring at that word. And so we were able to, if you take a look here, this is actually her assessment. And in May, this girl was reading at a 1st grade level for sight words. And you'll see that 3 months later, she had moved up 2 full grade levels to a 3rd grade reading level. So pretty awesome stuff. Now, Ruby, she is one of my favorite students that I've had the opportunity to work with. And this is her mom. I'm not kidding you. This is really a picture of her mom. She took this just for me because she was so excited about the work that I do with her child. And she said, Joanne Kaminsky tutored our 7-year-old daughter in reading this summer. She achieves results that are nothing short of miraculous. In the course of 3 short months, my daughter's reading improved by 2.5 grade levels. And she did. She was at the bottom of her class in 1st grade. And then I worked with her over the summer. And in 2nd grade, she was reading at a 3rd grade reading level. So she went from being at the bottom of her class to the very top of her class. So it's just an awesome experience to be able to do this. Now, I know that there are some people who are like, but I don't know how to teach online. Well, you know what? Just like a teacher, in person takes a hand, opens a mind, and touches a heart, you do the exact same thing online. The only difference is some of the tools that you'll use. So if you know how to teach in person, you definitely know how to teach online. It's not that different. So the very first thing that you want to do is download Skype if you haven't. Once you have Skype downloaded, you've invited someone to a call and you're on a call, all you need to do is share screens. You click on that plus button and you're going to see the screen share just like you're seeing my screen right now. And then from there, you get on the call and they're able to see it. Now, some people are like, okay, but I don't know how to teach reading online specifically. Well, this is why I've created the Reading Interventionist program, because people wanted to actually see specifically every single step of how to teach reading online and how to do it effectively. So I've created a program where there's videos of the Skype sessions, there's weekly support calls, we have a supportive online community, there's lifetime access to material. So whenever you are, you need the material, you have it at your fingertips. And it also gives you an opportunity to become a certified reading interventionist. And a lot of people have liked that. Now, this is Laura Culp, and Laura was one of the very first students that came into the class. She said, about 1.5 years ago, I was looking for tips for tutoring online. I had a tutoring business, but loved to travel with my husband. When I traveled, my students just skipped tutoring. I knew there had to be a way to tutor online so my students would not miss their sessions. And this is when I found Joanne's Tutorpreneur program. I joined the class, and because of the class, I transitioned the majority of my students to online. Eventually, this also led me to a reading interventionist program. When I received the email that she was launching the reading interventionist program, I was ecstatic and signed up right away. She did. In fact, she was the very first person. While I had some tools I was happy with, I felt I was missing some crucial elements. Some of my students needed more than I had to offer. I completed the reading interventionist program and passed the test. I implemented many of her strategies before the class was finished and started seeing immediate results with my students. It's always great to work with Joanne. She's very knowledgeable and is always willing to answer questions and give encouragement. I love being able to hear, other people's experiences with working with it. A lot of people, the specific questions that they have about doing this online are, what are some of the assessments that you use? How do you close the gap so quickly? What tools do you use? How do you make it fun? And how much do you charge? So let's dive into that information so you can see. One of the tools that I use is an assessment called the QRI-5. And what I love about this assessment is that it specifically takes a look at sight words and comprehension. And so it's kind of like, this is the assessment everybody gets in the very beginning. And then based off of that, I'm able to give other assessments if I need more information. What I really like about the QRI-5 is I am able to find a fiction and a nonfiction reading level. One of the biggest things I notice is that when kids are in 3rd and 4th grade, that their parents will come to me and say, gosh, they've never had a problem in reading before and now they're struggling. I don't get it. Well, a big reason is because they are no longer learning to read, but they are reading to learn. And it's that whole, they'll have a higher fiction reading level than they will nonfiction. And people will say, well, why is that? People will have a higher fiction reading level when they're little because that's what we read to them. As women, we are typically the ones who are reading to our kids. Now, I'm not being sexist here. There are certainly men out there who will read, but mostly women are the ones that are doing the reading, and they love fiction. So they pick out fiction to read to the kids. Also, if you look at the classrooms are consist mostly of women, and so women choose what they like, which is fiction. Now, I've seen more and more classrooms incorporating nonfiction into their classroom. Now, as you do this assessment, you might find that a child has a hard time with the sight words. Well, I've created in the Reading Interventionist program the letter sound assessment, the letter names, the rhyming, the phonemic blending, the phonemic segmenting. I've created all these other assessments so that people pretty much have an out-of-the-box kind of program that they can start teaching right away. So if they became part of the Reading Interventionist program today, they could probably start using the materials tomorrow and start teaching online. Now, some of the tools that I use when I am teaching online, I use to help close that gap a full year with 8 to 12 hours of instruction. This is the goal. We want to be able to close that gap quickly, especially when I am an online tutor like this. If I want to keep getting referred over and over and over again, what people are looking for are results. When you give them results, they will keep referring you because they're so excited about what it is that you can do. Now, during the assessment, I am looking for what the child's strengths and weaknesses are. And I specifically look in the area of phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. But I also take a look at motivation and test taking. So with motivation, I am looking at, what is how do they feel about reading? So it's a pretty simple test. I ask them one question. I say, if you had a choice between reading a book, going outside to play, or playing a video game, which would be the very first thing you would choose? If they don't answer reading a book, I can pretty much guess that their motivation is a little on the lower side than somebody who's enthusiastic about reading. I have had people who have said that they would choose to read a book over anything else. So you really can gauge a child's motivation based off that question. Sometimes kids are really bad test takers. Now, when I was in the school system, people would say, oh, don't teach to the test, don't teach to the test. No, I agree. You don't teach to the test, but you have to teach kids how to take a test, because you can't throw them into something foreign that has a foreign language, that has a foreign, when we read a book, we don't have a multiple choice test sitting next to us that we have to answer, right? We have the book in front of us and we read it. So we have to teach them how to take the test and how to answer certain questions so that they can be successful. So I look at all of these components, and then I create a program that is specifically geared towards them. So here's my typical lesson plan. The first part is word work, and we'll work on words for like 5 to 10 minutes. Now this is based off of, the lower number is based off of a 30-minute session, and the higher number is based on a 60-minute session. So we'll work on word work for about 5 to 10 minutes. We'll work on actual reading activities for 20 to 45, and comprehension questions for 5 minutes. Now I marry both the word work and the comprehension in the reading as well. So when a child gets stuck on a word, we work on it together. We use our strategies together. We create the strategies we're going to choose to use. Same with the comprehension. We blend that all together. And here's why. When I was teaching in the school system, I watched so many kids sit with blank faces at desks as the teacher would teach. And they would just be up there, want. They would be, just talking. The kids during reading class weren't actually engaged in reading. And so most of the time that I spend with my students is in reading, because you can't get better if you're not actually doing it. It also gives me an opportunity to coach them so they can read properly. Now, for a child who is struggling with fluency, again, I might work on sight words for 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm going to work on timed reading to get their fluency up, because they probably have a low fluency number. And I play a game called Beat My Time. So they read a passage for me, and then they, the next time they read it, they see if they can beat their time. And they always do, and they love it. And as time goes on, their reading gets faster and faster and faster. And then we'll go into Kids A to Z for about 15 minutes, and then we'll work on some comprehension as well. So that's a typical fluency lesson. Now, some of the tools that I use include Reading A to Z, vocabulary, my vowel pattern chart, and PowerPoint. We're going to take a look at Reading A to Z real quick. And this is also known as Raz Kids, and actually Headsprout bought Raz Kids, so it's now Kids A to Z. This is my actual classroom with all of my students that I have. I work with every single one of them individually. But the very cool thing is there are books at their own individual levels. So I just click on their name and a book at their level will come up. I give them a choice of which book they would like to read, and then we begin incorporating that into our lesson. Another tool that I love to be able to use is called vocabulary. And vocabulary is for those kids that are struggling with being able to read, being able to understand because of the vocabulary that they have. So what vocabulary does is it does in a hip hop manner. It will actually sing a song. It has the vocabulary words embedded in there, and then it has the definition of those words in there as well. Here's a quick sneak peek at vocabulary. I'm going to just
parents, the birdie was tall. She would fly to Iguazu by the waterfalls. Listen to the humans, yeah, she liked how they talk. Sitting in a tree, she'd repeat what she heard. Until one day, this evil trapper named Bird heard her words. He's thinking, I'm gonna trap this bird. This beautiful, charming, attractive bird. He tried to coax the bird. Hey, birdie, come here.
So you see that it says coax, and then it says come here. So it's got the words and the definitions embedded together. And you know how kids learn, right? You sing a song, they'll remember the song forever. You tell them something, they could forget it, within 5 seconds. So this is great because it incorporates it. The lyrics are on the website, so the kids can actually print off the lyrics, they can read the lyrics, they can sing the lyrics, and then there's games that they can play. And so I'll actually incorporate that and use Spelling City with the vocabulary site portion that they have there to practice it with games. So that's vocabulary.com. Now, I often get asked, well, how in the world do I make online tutoring fun? Well, first, you need to get to know the child, right? Because the child needs to connect with you. And you can connect with a child online as much as you can connect with somebody who is right next to you. It's a matter of just asking questions and asking about them and getting to know them. And you can even listen to the background. If you hear a dog barking, ask them about their dog. You hear a child crying, ask them about their baby brother or sister. So it's really paying attention and then joking around with them. They love it. Also being able to praise the child. I recently was listening to a video that was talking about praise and the different kinds of praise that people give. And it talked about praising for smartness and praising for effort. And they found that people who praise for effort actually get better results than people who praise on telling people that they're smart. Because if you're smart, the expectation is that you're just going to do it because you're smart. You don't have to put in any effort into it. But we know in life, like let's pretend, that there's someone in the Olympics, right? That person in the Olympics didn't get there just because they're talented. There's an extra level there, and it's called effort. They had to practice their skills on a daily basis. They had a coach guiding them on what they needed to do. And it was that daily practice that they put in that made them as great as they are. So, being smart or having a talent isn't enough to get you far in life. You need to put in the effort. I also make tutoring online fun by playing games with the kids. I use videos and by offering choice. By offering choice, I am opening it up to them. So if I have, let's say, a nonfiction book I'm working on with a child, then they specifically will get to choose which nonfiction book at their level they'd like to read. And once a child chooses, they're just that much more interested in the process of reading because they weren't told what they had to read. They are given the choice on what it is that they can read. Now, I mentioned that I use videos. This is a video that I love to use from the electric company on YouTube that I've downloaded, and it's on silent E. So this makes it fun to be able to practice silent E and closed pattern words because we can take a look and we can take each of these words, we can sort them, we can practice reading them. So there's lots of different things. Let me give you a quick look into this song.
Let me tell you about a friend of mine. Goes around changing words all the time, but he's kind of sneaky and serene. Come on, I make the plan. He flies a plane. I hold the can. He carries a cane. Cook with a pan. Now he's at it again. Looking through my window pane.
So kids have a lot of fun with being able to utilize, this resource as well. I'll let them listen to the song. We collect those words. Sometimes I'll stop the video and be like, okay, how do we read that word? And they'll read it for me. And they have a lot of fun with it. Well, Meg never taught reading before, but she was fascinated with this idea of teaching reading online. In fact, she was one of the people that motivated me to create the Reading Interventionist program. And she went through the program, and this is what she had to say. She said, compared to many other reading tutoring programs I've researched, Joanne's Reading Interventionist program is the best for the student, the parent, and tutor. And here's why I love the Reading Interventionist program. The program is unique in that it's tailored for every student. Instead of making every child do every lesson, it allows the tutor to design a program that addresses each student's needs. Skipping material the student already mastered and focusing solely on struggle areas saves time and allows the student to progress to higher levels of reading much faster than other methods. I think parents will really appreciate this as it saves them money and time. And also, it's great because the kids don't get bored reviewing material they already know. Joanne has a lot of cool tips on how to make learning a fun experience for the children. Joanne's videos get straight to the point, teaching exactly what you need to be a successful reading tutor. She's easy to understand, engaging, and very insightful. Joanne is trustworthy, genuine, and personable. And it's so nice to be able to ask all my questions and get them answered promptly with all the information I need. Joanne really guides you through the material. Also, you get to see tutoring in action, as Joanne recorded many of her Skype tutor sessions with real students. The videos, the handouts, the weekly phone conferences, and email support really put me at ease that I can learn everything I need to know to tutor reading successfully. So that was her experience as she went through the Reading Interventionist program. Now, as a teacher, I love this because here is what, our friends think that we do, right? Here's what our mom thinks that we do. That's brilliant, people. Here's what society thinks we do. Here's what kids think I do. Here's what I think I do. But here's what I really do if I'm a teacher, right? I got to deal with ESL, taxonomy, PDP, CEUs, PLC, PDP, pedagogy, 504, KOWL, metacognition, collaboration, scaffolding, RTT, differentiation, CFA, IEP, enrichment, EOC, NCLB, AYP, Common Core, ELL, intervention, and let's not forget, let's have classroom management all on top of that. You know what? The burdens of teachers are growing every single day. Class sizes are getting bigger and the frustrations are also growing bigger for a lot of teachers. And you know what? It doesn't have to be that difficult for us. That's why I love being able to teach online, you guys. I get to make my own hours. I get to be my own boss. I can travel anywhere in the world and still be able to make money. I can teach from home and have no commute. I get paid more money than teaching in the school, and I work way less hours. And here's my favorite part, you guys. I get to actually focus on teaching. And that is my absolute favorite thing to be able to do. So I know that some of you are thinking, well, is this even a good industry to be in? Well, online tutoring is actually a $100 billion industry. And it is only growing from here. Lots of people have taken now online classes. And so you might be wondering if you can actually really make good money tutoring online. I personally right now am making $75 an hour. I work more than 20 hours a week, but if you were to work 20 hours a week, you could make $1,500 a week, which would be then $6,000 a month. And that translates into $72,000 a year. Now, some of you out there, you might actually be making $72,000 a year, but I can guarantee that you're not working 20 hours a week making that money. You're most likely working 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week and making that money. If you are working 30 hours a week, wow, look at this. We jump on up to a 6-figure business. That's $108,000 a year. And that is pretty much, I mean, when most people think about starting their own business or teaching or anything, these are numbers that are not even fathomable to a lot of us when we think about our teaching career. But people will pay tutors what they are worth because they want the best for their child. Now, a lot of you might think, well, I can't compete. There's already so many tutors out there. Well, that's because a lot of people are going to like these sites where they put down their name and then they end up on page like 123. No parent is going to search through every single page of tutors. So I teach people how to get themselves found so that they're not even competing with those people that are on those sites. And I want you to think about this. 785 million people are illiterate. Now, I know for sure I cannot work with 785 million people. It's like right now I have 30 students and that is a full load for me. So I know that 785 million people is just beyond my comprehension to be able to help. If we just take a look, even within the United States, not even worldwide, 1 in 7 US adults are functionally illiterate. 42 million adults can't read at all, and 50 million can't read above a 5th grade level. Illiteracy is a huge problem, and there's a huge need for tutors to be teaching reading online. So I have a free offer for you guys. If you go to www.readinginterventionist.com, or if you happen to have your smartphone on you right now and you just want to click it on up to the screen, you can do that. I want to offer you guys a set of 4 videos. This is going to teach you more information on how to teach reading online. It's going to go into more details on the tools to use, and it's going to give you more details on how to make teaching online fun. I know there's only so much information that I can give you guys in 45 minutes. So, there's a lot of introduction stuff in this talk, but I go into more details on resources in those videos for you, and they are free. So take advantage of them. It's a really great resource for you. I want to show you what Linda had to say about the Reading Interventionist course when I did an interview with her.
Pretty well into teaching online. What happened for you as you started going through the Reading Interventionist course with your teaching?
I felt like it helped me get to a whole new level, because some of the stuff in the Reading Interventionist course was review of things I had done in other trainings that I had done, but it also equipped me with new strategies to use as well. And sometimes just tweaking something I was doing a little bit. I especially enjoyed the comprehension part, because I feel like that's something that I struggled with as a kid. And so sometimes I struggled with even knowing how to ask my students questions to get them to ask the right questions. Mm-hmm. And so that was really great to be able to just, I guess, see that in action in you teaching us with your videos, how to do that. And it's so exciting to me, because my students have, they start up, it used to be like pulling hen's teeth to get them to ask questions.
Right.
And now it's like they come up with this whole list of stuff, and I'm like, wow, that is so cool, because they just start naming off, oh, I think this is going to happen, and or they'll guess a whole list of things that they think will happen, and then we go into other questions, and it's exciting to see them being able to come up with their own questions without a whole lot of coaching from me. And just by tweaking that. And then the other thing I think that was really helpful, all of it was, but there was just these things, the fluency passages, I had been using just words, and I felt like kids just didn't really like that. And they seemed to like the passages better. And also the dividing the words into syllables using the spot and dot, that was really great. So it's just really helped me to be able to fine tune what I'm doing, and I'm seeing more progress in the students that I'm teaching because of it. And that's really exciting.
So awesome to be able to see people getting results and their students benefiting because of going through the Reading Interventionist program. Now, at this point, I want you guys to close your eyes, and I want you to think, what if? What if you could easily earn more money every single day doing what you love? What if there was someone who could show you everything you needed to teach reading online? What if you could travel around the world and still make money? What if you could close the reading gap a full year with 8 to 12 hours of instruction? What if everything you ever dreamed of was actually possible? What if you could double your income? What if you surrounded yourself in a community of people that could actually help you reach your goals? What if you could be more present for your family and friends? What if you could get paid what you're worth? What if you got countless emails from parents praising you for your work? What if you could help countless children around the world in reading? What if you could inspire non-readers to pick up books for pleasure because you have made reading easy for them? What if you had more free time? What would you do? What if you encouraged your students to be real thinkers? How would that change the world? You know what, you guys? You have the power, the ability, and the resources to make all of that happen. And I believe in you. You can do it. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to learn a little bit more about what online tutoring looks like. And see if any of you guys have any questions at this point. And I'm just going to come on back on over here. And I'm going to go to the Q&A, see if anybody has popped any questions on in there. And I don't see any for today. So thanks for joining me, you guys, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.